Hello, Gaston County. Welcome to episode number 181 of Gaston's Great, a podcast highlighting some of the great things happening in and around Gaston County. I'm your host, Stephen Long. We're coming to you once again from the international headquarters of GSM Services right here in downtown Gastonia. We simply believe in discussing more of the reasons why Gaston's great. We are highlighting another great organization this week as we highlight Bit of Hope Ranch. We have Meg Vanderbilt with us today. Meg is the executive director and founder of the organization. Meg, it's great to have you on, and welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Stephen.
So officially, we had Bit of Hope on, almost 4.5 years ago, which is hard to believe. I think it was episode number 24 or something like that. So we know how the world works. A lot of things have happened and can happen in 4 to 4.5 years. And so, again, as I said, it's great to have you on. So we like to start with the standard old question. So, Meg, if you don't mind, tell us a little bit about yourself, anything you'd like to share, then we'll get into Bit of Hope Ranch.
Well, thanks for having me. First of all, I love sharing our story. And I come from a lifetime of loving horses, loving animals, deeply connecting with them. But I also was a school teacher. So I taught junior high and high school, and just had a lot of kids in my class that I knew could use some time at the farm.
Sure.
So that sent me on a lifetime journey, really, of trying to figure out how to marry the two. And at the time, nobody was doing what we were doing. So I just had this crazy dream of having a rescue horse ranch where we could have at-risk kids come that could have time with the horse, have time with the mentor, and really just help them piece their life back together, honestly. So we were way outside the box. That was that horse thing. So if nothing else worked, we got sent the kids that just needed some time on the farm, right?
Okay.
So that was how this whole thing started. And since we've been here 18 years, I've had a lot of help along the way, a lot of supporters along the way. It's been an amazing journey.
Okay, for those, so thank you for that quick intro. So for those who don't know, how would you describe? Again, I'm sure I'm going to use words that aren't correct, so you correct me. A horse therapy ranch, or whatever the proper term is. What exactly is that? Because we might have listeners who may have heard of you or may have heard of this type of organization. So what exactly is it? And then the next question is going to be you kind of glossed over a little bit, but what inspired you to get here? But what is it first? And then we'll go from there.
So what we do is titled equine, which means horse.
Thank you. Yeah, I did.
A little
know
Latin there, a little education.
I did know that
morning.
word.
Okay.
So shockingly,
right? But it's equine-assisted therapy.
Thank you. Okay.
And so under that umbrella is equine-assisted psychotherapy, which is a recognizable service in mental health. We just happen to use horses as part of a tool, just like you would for play therapy or any other type of therapy. But we also use the horses for special needs riders because they offer a lot of sensory input, a lot of cognitive challenges for those clients that maybe are on the spectrum or have a special diagnosis. So the interesting thing about us is that we treat mind, body, and spirit. We are a faith-based organization, although we're not affiliated with any particular church or organization. Okay. But we do recognize that the spirit is a huge part of who people are. So we treat mental health. We do some physical therapy work with special needs riders, and we do that with the assistance of horses. So the interesting thing is our horses also have their own journey they're on.
Okay.
They are on their second, third, fourth career, and they have physical limitations. Some of them have emotional limitations. And so when clients arrive, very often they're able to identify things in the horse that what they're struggling with. They see something similar. And so they start a partnership under the guidance of a counselor or therapist. And it's an amazing journey to watch them walk through that.
All right. So is it fair to say that, again, this is where you'll have to correct me from when I say something dumb, or you get a sound effect, right? When I say something
She's ready. Look at her finger on the button.
Or horses and animals in general, are they able to sense anxiety, stress, or whatever that somebody might be feeling? Is it a calming effect, or is it just more scientific than that?
It is very scientific. In fact, when we started, there wasn't as much data to back up what we were doing. We just saw that it was working. And now there's been more things like the Heart Math Institution and things that are doing, they're actually tracking heart rate variability and different things that they can see if a person is changing, their nervous system is actually shifting when they're doing certain activities. So that has helped our industry to realize, hey, this isn't just a feel-good activity. There's actually lasting changes that happen in the neurobiology of a person. But to go back to your question, I'm going to nerd out a bit.
Cool.
So horses are prey animals, which means they wake up every day expecting they could be eaten. This is their last day. So they're designed with eyes on the side of their head to watch out front, behind. They're very aware of every surrounding. They can sense our heartbeats 15 feet away. They can assess intentions behind people and horses. So they are keenly aware of what's going on the inside of us. So that's important because when clients come to us, what I always say, just to boil it down, I want to know if your insides match your outsides. So on the outside, if a person's like, I'm not anxious, I'm not scared, but inside, they're falling apart. The horse is going to read that because it's the stress signals, it's the smell, it's the rate of the eye blinks, it's our shoulder, it's everything. And that is what they're reading. That is what they react to. So, in talk therapy, there's nothing wrong with talk therapy. But in talk therapy, these clients have been there rehearsing the same story over and over and over and really not getting anywhere. Well, the horse is a four-legged lie detector, and they know what's going on. They can feel it. They can sense it. And so they will, because they are at liberty, they're not tethered to anything, they have a choice when they are working with a client. They can run away, they can lay down and roll, they can sniff, they can do whatever they want. And that's the feedback that the client and the therapist is watching. They want to know, is this horse okay being with you? Because once your insides match your outsides, the horse feels like they can trust you. They can bond with you. They can do things with you. And until then, they are very suspicious that something's not right, and they don't want to be around that disharmony. So it sounds like woo-woo just a bit until you watch it work. And it's amazing. And they don't care, like for teenagers, that come, horses don't care what you wear, what shoes you have.
Right.
And honestly, let's just say what gender you are right now. They don't
prejudice
care.
At all.
They don't.
Yeah.
And so they're just there in the moment. And that is the beautiful part of this therapy.
So what brought you from teaching and inspired you to get where you are today? Or 18 years ago, maybe?
Yeah. God is still unveiling that as we go along. I guess I had to get my own stuff worked out, right? Okay. And he has a funny way of setting you up so you can work on your stuff while you're helping other people. But honestly, I've always had a passion for the horses that were overlooked, that were cast aside, and the people that are cast aside and overlooked and hopeless. And so I'm a problem solver by nature. I love that. And every horse that comes to our property usually has a problem to be solved. Every client is there. There's a problem to be solved. And so I've just enjoyed marrying the two parts of my brain that do that really well, and just seeing what God does through that.
So, again, for us, I have been fortunate. I've been out to the property before. It's been a while, though, for me personally. Can you maybe describe a day in the life of Bit of Hope Ranch? We're just to give our listeners a feel for kind of what goes on a day-to-day basis. Sure,
absolutely. Well, our volunteers show up bright and early because our horses are fed AM and PM, snow or no snow, it does not matter. So we are a working farm. We have 18 horses on the farm right now. They've all come with their own stories and their own issues. So we do have volunteers that help out, staff that come feed the horses, take care of it as a working farm. And then our therapists roll in about 9 o'clock, and we start seeing mental health clients Monday through Saturday. We actually just hired a new staff member who's seeing weekend clients. And so these clients can be adults. They can be children. The bulk of our clients are probably ages 8 to 16. But we also see families and adults like that as well. And then we have our special needs riders that come to our adaptive riding program, and they'll participate in group lessons because that's how they socialize as well, and they enjoy their teamwork together. So we pretty much run 9 to 7 most days of the week, weather depending. And then, like I said, on Saturday too. Now, on the weekends, we have a little bit of fun. We also open up our gates and we do birthday parties, we do weddings, church services, things like that. That's how we bring in extra funding for what we do during the week.
Okay, very good. So that just gives us a good feel for kind of, what you're doing on a day-to-day basis. So you started this 18 years ago, if I heard you correctly. Can you think back to a specific maybe example without sharing any specifics of individuals, but something that you recalled? I'm sure there's hundreds of stories, but share something that when you look back and you say, wow, that's a success or an impact that you saw that, yeah, this is the reason that I started this, something that you can share.
Definitely. Yes, I do have lots of stories.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Over 18 years. I think one that stands out is we had a 15-year-old boy that was at our farm, and I'll just call him John for now, but he had the unfortunate situation where he found his father dead in his home.
Wow. And
he was the first one on the scene. It was very traumatic, the whole situation. I won't go into it too much because I think it'd give it away who it is, but you can imagine what that would do. And so he was struggling in school. He kind of dropped out of sports, got to where he didn't want to go to school at all. They had been to the therapist. He was on medication. He'd been hospitalized twice for some self-harm issues. And so they said, let's try that horse thing, right? So he showed up and, of course, met with one of our licensed therapists. And the interesting thing was a few weeks ago, we had just got a new horse in. Twister was his name. He's a beautiful white Cremello horse, but completely shut down. And just like people dissociate, check out, don't want to be here, horses do the same. And so horses will either fight, flight, or freeze in situations. And he was one that was frozen and didn't want to participate at all. So I don't know, I just had the thought, I know this horse is new, but I really felt like him and John could work together, And so we put him in the arena, and both of them stood at opposite ends, didn't want to talk to each other, of course, which is sometimes how it starts.
Like a middle school dance.
That's right. Very awkward. But what happened over a period of several weeks was he finally started getting comfortable enough to connect with this horse Twister. And so one of our games or tasks, whatever we had him do, was he had to set out cones in the arena. And this was part of the storyline of where things kind of went wrong in his life. And so he was able to move this horse through each cone while talking about what was happening and what was going on and how he was processing. And so what we do, I said, our horses are untethered, so the horses can say yes or no. So the first couple times, the horse didn't want anything to do with him. He stood in the corner. John sat in the cone, mad, whatever. A few weeks later, the horse kind of came over and started nudging him, like, what are we doing? What are we doing? And it really came out through some, I'm just going to fast forward it, that he was leaving out a lot of details. He was trying to gloss over and make it seem like things were okay, and he was okay, and he wasn't. So he wound up adding more cones to his story. And when he did that, when he was able to face that horse followed him from point to point to point to point. And we didn't even have to know what the words were. It was between him and the horse.
Wow.
But he was able to get to the place where he could actually sit in the space and deal with what was going on. Now, he had a long journey ahead of him. Sure. It's not a magic fix.
Sure.
But we need to be able to open those doors to those places that are walled off, and horses will do that.
Wow. Yeah. So I know what it was like to lose my father at age 48, much less if I was a teenager or a young child, young kid. Yeah, it would have been it's hard enough. But yeah, I can't imagine what it would be like. Yeah, that's a great example. Yeah, so I'm sure you're seeing that type of thing. I mean, for lack of a better phrase, all the time.
It does happen, and it is so funny because my staff, we have plans, right? Just like a teacher has lesson plans, we have plans, and then we get in the space with the horses and the clients. And very often we just let the horse take over, and it will wind up being the most beautiful thing. And we just throw our hands up like, why are we here? We just get to watch what's happening, right?
Yeah, it just naturally occurs sometimes. Is something that stands out in your 18 years that you're most proud of accomplishing or see accomplished or impacting the community as a whole, or just, anything that stands out?
Well, first of all, just because we participate with horses a lot is we love bringing awareness to animal welfare.
Okay.
We are an unofficial cat rescue. Do not drop your cats off at my place. But we
said unofficial. Unofficial cat.
Don't
rescue.
tell people.
Okay.
So
well, it's only three people hear this podcast, so you're good.
That would be good. But it's so funny. So we take the working cats, so nobody else wants in their home. But so we always enjoy educating people on, some people, the way horses get to us is just through ignorance. People just don't know how to care for a horse or what it takes and things like that. So, some of it is malicious, but some of it is just people just don't know. So I enjoy educating people on how they can take care of the horse, keep their horse in their place instead of dumping it. So that's one thing that obviously I love doing. That's one of the hard things that I love doing. But the other thing is just a lot of more holistic, the holistic health approach to mental health.
Okay.
We have a lot of clients that come that are on medication, and there's nothing wrong with medication. I'm not saying that. But there's, there's other things that need to be addressed. And so I love the fact that we can, with the horses, really evaluate family structure, social structure. Let's just talk about teens. Are teens getting enough sleep? Are they socializing? Are they getting too much blue light on their phone? How do they really see themselves? What is their purpose in life? And so the horses, because they are so sensitive to energy, our intention, being present, have continued to teach me things that we can do to offer other people some just holistic ways to take care of ourselves. We knew how to do this 200 years ago. We've forgotten how to do it. And so when people leave, because we are I call it a green space, we're outside. All of our stuff is outside, outdoors, on the ground, in the dirt. Just the smell of a horse, it's very organic, that people feel better when they leave. And I tell people that is your body responding. Go out and take a walk when you get home.
There's something about walking barefoot in the grass. Yeah,
there
is.
Is.
That correct? Is that the correct
It's very
grammar?
healing.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
and we were designed for that, right? And
Yes.
all kinds of different reasons. And the vitamin D from being outside, the sunlight, the amount of time.
Exactly.
There's so many studies about the amount of time we now spend indoors versus, we weren't really designed
right
for that. So that's an interesting take. This question just popped into my head. In your 18 years, have you seen? I don't like to ever say the word anymore. COVID.
Oh,
We try to avoid that. But over that, have you seen things get different with, say, teens? Get worse? More people having anxiety? More young kids? That might be more anecdotal question on your experience, because I mean, we were talking beforehand how many podcasts I listen to, and I inevitably hear some of this data and studies. But what has been your kind of experience with that?
Well, it is, and I think you know the answer to it as you're smiling, asking me that question. So usually our client would be around 8 or 9 years old, the earliest that we would see coming in for trauma, anxiety, and that was usually because, honestly, there was a traumatic event, a situation. Now we're seeing 5-year-olds get out of the car, riddled with anxiety, some of them do come with trauma, yes,
yeah,
but there's some, they're just like, they don't know what's going on. Something's wrong. And so, not to mention high-functioning executives. They're like, I have a panic attack on the way to work. I don't know what happened. This never happened to me before. So we're seeing it all across the board, this, quote, anxiety, because that's the label we're putting on it. But the reality is our nervous system's not okay. And that's their body communicating in different ways. Now, there's different reasons, obviously. We talked about the big C word and things like that. But yeah, there's been a major uptick of people that are dealing with anxiety and depression. I mean, a lot of those go hand in hand.
Right.
And then you think about the other thing, which I didn't see this coming, is a lot of our clients, teenagers and children, are dealing with a lack of empathy. That is one of the major growths that we've seen across the board is they just don't care. And so it's interesting when you think about what does isolation do? What does programming on screens do? The lack of connection with people, with schoolmates, or whatever that is.
Yeah,
what does that do
good way to put it.
to a developing brain? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, of course, you got to be careful, Miss Stephen, the old fogey over here, everything was better back in my day, right? It's just different.
It was different.
It's just different.
Yeah.
We were forced to have to get on our bikes and go see our friends.
Right.
We couldn't connect. And then even, I'm old enough, well, boys never like to be on the phone.
No.
As far as we had to pick up the phone that our parents, had, and, I didn't want them hearing our conversation. So we would go see people. And now it's just easier, in my opinion. The communication is less face to face, is what I see. Mm-hmm. And I saw it with my kids. We've got 3 kids that are 20, as of yesterday. One is 27 now, 27, 24, and 20. So we saw that.
Yeah.
My wife and I saw that progression and how they communicate and how them and their friends. It's just, I'm not an expert to say bad or good. It's just different.
It is different.
Yeah, and so us understanding as a society, as parents, as whomever, understanding what that means is where some of this is interesting. I'll just leave it at that. So, looking ahead for Bit of Hope Ranch, for Meg Vanderbilt and Bit of Hope Ranch, what's the future look like? Any big plans? Anything? Is it just serving as many people as you can, as you have? Is there anything in the future? How does that classic question is 5 to 10 years down the road? We don't normally ask that because things change so fast.
Right.
We don't really ask that question even here anymore.
Who has a 10-year plan anymore?
We don't, and it's been a long time. We might look 2 or 3 years out. But so how would you answer that question?
Well, it's interesting because horses don't change. So the people change, right? And technology changes, but the horse is still going to be a horse. So that kind of keeps us grounded. Really, the phrasing that we've adopted is trauma, care, and recovery. When people ask, what is it that you do? Instead of taking 20 minutes to explain the equine-assisted therapy and all of that, I just say it's trauma, care, and recovery. And we use horses to do that. And so that starts a conversation. So anybody that wants to support what we do, any volunteers that want to help with us, or any clients that want to know what is it that you do, we address the trauma, we care for it, but we give you next steps out. I don't want to see you here 2 years from now. We want to get you on a journey and get you moving forward. So that's been our big push, and how we've realized how to do that, going back to the holistic thing, is we've created a wellness wheel at the ranch, WHEEL. You have to hear my southern accent when I say that. But really, we're looking at, like I said, mind, body, and spirit. And we help people because a lot of stresses, for example, come from money. And so, if people come to us, I'm anxious about money. Well, if we never solve the money problem, we're not going to get you out of that anxious state, right? So we're wanting to partner with other people that we can send them to and say, hey, you need a budget, you need a plan, you need a Dave Ramsey, you need somebody to be able to help you in this area. Same thing with social. We just talked about teens. They would rather sit in their room by themselves, honestly, most of them, than get out. And so connecting with places that will give them volunteer opportunities, like the animal shelter and other things like that, where they can actually get out and go as part of their treatment plan. Personally, I also do some holistic healing that I do homeopathics and things like that. Sometimes it takes something, addressing it from a different angle. Right? I do some naturopathic work on the side. Maybe we need to look at your gut. Are you actually digesting what you're eating? Are you eating the right things? So instead of just seeing...
I think that's a big thing that has changed in the last 20, 30, 40 years. Yes. It
absolutely has. And so whereas before we would just hit anxiety head on, like we need to turn off that dashboard warning light because it doesn't feel good. Now I'm embracing it like that dashboard warning light is on for a reason.
Yeah.
And so we need to listen to that.
And it's all connected.
It is all connected.
Yeah.
And so when we look at our wellness wheel, I want the client to be empowered to say, okay, and it's a template. We have them look at it where I want them to see where they're strong, but also where they're weak. It's empowering to the client instead of always going from provider to provider to provider. Like, no, you have what you need. I want you to be able to look and evaluate what you need and learn how to ask for help in the areas that you need it. So that's kind of our shift. Instead of just trying to stomp out anxiety and trauma, is helping people look at the whole picture and just be more empowered to move forward.
Okay,
from
that's
that.
terrific. I really, appreciate that greatly. How do clients get connected with you guys? And are there any collaborations with, you talked about the special needs groups. I mean, just kind of, can you let our listeners hear about that? Is that from doctors or is it from referrals? I mean, you've been around long enough. I'm sure a lot of it is just referrals maybe, but how do clients get connected with you?
It is. Thank you for asking that. So obviously other therapists will reach out sometimes. Sometimes they just say, hey, can you just help us get through this part that we're going through? And then they'll go back to see their primary therapist. Pediatricians, obviously, doctors, psychiatrists, and things like that will do that. School counselors are a big referral source. DSS, big referral source. So we are a specialized therapy, but here's the way we set it up is we didn't want to have any barriers for people to be able to get help. So a parent, a grandmother can call and refer their child to our program. There is a wait list usually, so I let people know if you're interested at all, get on the wait list now. Don't wait till there's a crisis, and then we'll get you into the process.
Okay, I would think that a wait list is kind of a catch-22, right? It's a good problem to have as a organization, but gosh, that anxiety, time seems to be a factor with stuff like that too, or can be. Yeah. That's interesting. Have you always had a waiting list, or is that something as you've seen how society has progressed that has gotten to be an opportunity? We like to call them opportunities, not issues.
I like that. Yes. Yes. Well, coming out of COVID, obviously, we were up to an 8-month wait list at one time, and that was unacceptable. I mean, I just felt like, who wants to wait 8 months, when your kid's having a meltdown? So at that point, what we did is we converted one of our horse barns into a wellness clinic. Thanks GSM for helping with that.
Sure.
Still works great. But we use that for a lot of our kids that are on the spectrum. We've created therapy tools, swings, jump pads, as well as a safe space they can express themselves. So that created a lot more square footage. Then we could hire another therapist, and it kind of snowballed from there. So right now we're at about a 1 to 2 month wait list, depending on the availability of the client. So that's manageable.
All right, that's not too bad. All right, so before we finish, we'll make sure we give you an opportunity to share how our listeners can find out more information, website, where to go, all that. But is there anything that I haven't asked, Meg, that I should have asked, that you want to make sure you get across before we kind of move on? We do have a few questions we make our guests endure before we finish. But anything that I haven't asked, you think you want to make sure you want to share for our listeners?
Well, if I don't share this, my volunteer coordinator will fire me. So for our special needs riders, our adaptive riding group, we do need volunteers weekly. So to do that, if you have a child or an adult that's not able-bodied, you've just put them on a 1,200-pound animal, you're usually going to need a side walker on each side. That's to help stabilize the rider.
Sure.
And then we need somebody to lead the horse. So that now we're up to 3 volunteers. And then there's other volunteers in the barn that help prepare for that. It is a very volunteer heavy product that we do, but we do it because it works. And I'll just give a quick shout out to my adaptive riders. So a lot of these riders, remember, are not able to dress themselves, feed themselves, potentially walk. So we have a lift that actually will lift them up and put them up on the horse, very dignified. But parents talk about it all the time, like with the snow, this has been hard because this is their 1 hour a week, sometimes for the parents just to get a break, let's be honest.
Right.
But these kids actually will lose mobility. They'll lose functionality. They'll lose social skills because the way a horse moves mimics a human's walking gait. So you can't do that on a treadmill. You can't do that in the pool. You need a machine that's going to mimic walking. And not to mention, we talked about just the health benefits of having a living being that you're connecting with. So it's a very important program, even though it's just an hour a week for these people, but it is volunteer heavy. So if you have any time that you want to give, you don't have to be a horse professional. We train you for that. You just need to be able to be willing to help and to be kind to people.
Is there kind of a minimum age for?
Age 14 and up.
Okay, so Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, church youth groups, any organization that might be, that are looking for. not just volunteer time, but impactful.
Yes, impactful volunteer time.
Time. Okay. Again, I appreciate you sharing that. So, May, we got a few questions here we're going to make you endure here for our listeners. And this is really, some of these are good for I'm sure your family's going to know the answer to these, or maybe they don't. But your team, the staff, volunteers at Bit of Hope Ranch. So, first one is, what is something very few people know about you?
I breed really large rabbits, giant Flemish rabbits, and we have like almost 30.
That sounds like an apocalyptic movie.
Right? It's my secret hobby.
So, how and why?
How and why? Well, it started with 2.
Well, doesn't every rabbit story start?
No, because I'm an entrepreneur at heart, so I was going to have this great breeding business, and I love rabbits. It's funny, rabbits really are a lot like horses. There are similarities even in their gut and the way they behave. It's really funny. So they're like a miniature horse that I have, but they're very grounding to me, very healing for me. So I thought, I'm a great breeder. I'll sell them. Well, I found out I was a great breeder, but I'm a terrible seller. I just had a really hard time letting them go. So we've capped it. We've stopped. But they're our colony, and I still, we gave one to a therapy place a few states away. We shipped one out and did some stuff like that. But they're just fun to have around. So
that's interesting. Yeah. I wouldn't have. I'm pretty sure that's the first on 181 episodes of what something that very few people know about.
Well, if you need a rabbit, contact me.
Yeah. I'll keep that under advisement. How about a recent book that you've read, or a blog, or an article, or a podcast that you might listen to that you might recommend to our listeners?
Well, just spiritually speaking and business speaking, I listen to Taylor Welch a lot, The Deep End. He just really blends a lot of leadership principles. He's raw about it, but he also has some spiritual depth to it, and it's just been challenging for me. So I enjoy looking at things from different angles, and he's challenged me to do that.
Okay, well, good, yeah. This is a podcast about Gaston County and our surrounding area and why it's such a great place. So besides Bit of Hope Ranch, Meg, why would you say Gaston County is such a great place?
I think you can get good food. I think you can go hike several places. We love going to Crowder's Mountain a lot. Yeah. I mean, how neat is it that you could go north, south, east, west and have just amazing outdoor spaces? Yeah. Even the Shield Museum with their little nature track right there in the middle of our town. I mean, it's a great place to live. So, yeah.
You work for the Gaston Business Association?
Right. I'm just giving shout outs to everybody here. Yes.
All right. This is I say this every single episode, I think. I get laughed at because I say that, but this is my favorite question. So, Meg, knowing what you know now, what advice would you give your 20-year-old self?
Don't do it. I'm just kidding. No, I always tell, because I have people come to us, they want to start something similar, which is I feel very honored people would come and ask that. But I always tell people it's going to take more time than you think and more money than you have. So dreams are easy. Right? Yeah. It's putting it down that it gets hard. But I've learned so many lessons along the way, and I have to give God a shout out because he's the only reason this has made it, is that he has just been there every step. He's provided through unseen ways. It is his thing. It is his dream. I just happen to work here. So I guess I would just say be open-minded to what you can learn from other people, and just be available to do what he wants you to do.
Wow, that's good, because when I was 20, I had zero concept of what you just described.
I
right?
Because we know it all.
Yeah. I guess at 20, my parents were still probably getting dumber by the day, in my view. I mean, at some point, it starts going the other way. You realize, oh my Lord, they knew what they were talking about. Right. But it doesn't happen early enough. But yeah, it's no perspective, and it's just that I appreciate you sharing that, because we do so many opportunities in front of us, and we don't see them or don't realize what's going on. So, May, this has been great. So, as I said, the main point is just bring awareness to your organization, the good work you're doing. So, where can our listeners go if they want to find out more information? Look at volunteer opportunities. Just please share anything and everything that you can.
Well, www.bitofhoperanch.org will get you here.
And it's a great website.
So, thank you. So, jump on there. There's easy volunteer applications. There's some online training. We make it super easy to get you started. We have several stories of, we call them Stories of Hope Tour. We're calling them Healing Happens Here tours. So if people want to find out what is this equine-assisted, what is this again, they can come out. There's dates listed on our website. It is free. So it's more for ages 12 and up. So you could come out, spend an hour with us to see the farm, the property, meet some of the horses, see what that type of therapy feels like. So that's an easy next step for people. We have our 5K race. We have it every year, so you better start training because we do have some good hills on the property. So you got several months to get ready for that. But there's multiple ways that people can give in kind, that can support the work we do, sponsor horses, volunteer. So just get involved. Yes.
Is the date for this year's 5K, has it already been chosen, or?
It is. I'd have to pull up my calendar, though. It is on the website.
Okay. It's normally
October 8th-ish, something in there.
Yeah, I think it's probably October 10th, I bet.
There we go.
It's a Saturday. Mm-hmm. Seems like every year, the last few years, my wife and I are heavily involved with the Walk to End Alzheimer's, and it's always the same day, it seems like. But we're involved, and we've had some runners. And so we're a big, listen, we love the work you're doing. And,
Thank you.
And it'd be nice if it wasn't needed.
Exactly.
But when you have a 1 or 2 month, wait list, it's obvious that it is, but it's also unique, and it's just, you know what? And you and your family are just such good people.
Thank you.
And so we do appreciate it. It's just nice to see that success to people who deserve it, while at the same time providing such a terrific service to our community. So I'm grateful for that.
Thank
So
you.
before I finish with my book and quote of the for the week, any last words before we close this episode out?
No, I just appreciate you having us here. And I remind people that trauma comes in all ages, sizes, color, and races. So if you're listening to this and you're struggling, I just never want to assume the person I'm talking to is okay.
Sure.
And that there are resources and there is help, and there's nothing wrong with you. And we would love to be able to help you along your journey if that's what you need.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially if there's a family member or friend that somebody knows that, and they hear this, you've got ways to find out and contact you guys. So I do try to share something personal for myself each episode, a book or a quote or something. This week, I just recently finished a book called Turn the Ship Around by David Marquette. It's a great, if you're into leadership, you want to learn how to be a better leader, this is a great one. It's in short, it's about a submarine, Navy submarine that in the Pacific Fleet that was basically turned around to being the worst submarine in the Pacific Fleet to the best, and the author was the captain at the time. So again, I would strongly recommend that if you're into that. In my quote this week comes from Winston Churchill, who I'm just a huge fan of Winston Churchill. I've shared his quotes before, but it reminds me of these a place like Bit of Hope Ranch. A lot of people might look at that and say, a 20-year overnight success. So many people think it just happens. And to Meg's point about how long and what's involved, it's easy to look 18 years back and see the journey, but at the time, we don't typically realize what all be involved, right? But Winston Churchill said, "Continuous effort, not strength or intelligence, is the key to unlocking our potential." So it's consistency, habits, continuous effort, just staying on that path and that journey is where progress happens. And it also can happen, I think it happens in slow, short, there's 1%ers, and all of a sudden over 18 years, right, something unbelievable has occurred. When you look back to that first day, I bet it's a little bit different now than it was.
Just a bit. Yes.
Yeah, we view that the same. And that's the way that so many things happen. So to our listeners out there, thanks so much for taking the time to listen to today's episode. Please continue to spread the word if you can about the podcast. And please don't hesitate to contact us here at our email address, which is podcast@gastonsgreat.com. We're always looking for suggestions for future podcast topics and guests. You can find the podcast and subscribe at the website, gastonsgreat.com, or anywhere you listen to podcasts. And please follow us on all our social media platforms. Thanks again to Meg for being... Amber, on your first solo try, Just broke out the music. I like that. All right, so I have no idea where I was. I think I was thanking Meg for being our guest today. Gaston's Greatest Producer brought to you this week by Amber Hauser of GSM Services. Yeah, her first solo trip here. I'm your host, Stephen Long. Thanks again for hanging out with us, and please keep coming back to hear more reasons why Gaston's great.